Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back talking about the Club All Ireland again if one of the lads is man enough to come on. If not, we'll stick to talking about Tipperary in the in the Munster Hurling League final and the defeat to Cork.
Please come on. I know Tipperary were beaten, but like it'd be great to have a Ballyhale player on because there's a serious
Or a
potential
group of them.
for you to rabbit on for the next half an hour about Tipperary and go
Yeah.
through who was playing where exactly, and I thought this lad should have came in and.
Yeah, that's true. Well, look, it was Cork's day, so Cork are back now. I said Tip were back last week, but Cork are back. 314 to 119, they won down in Páirc Uí Rinn, so home advantage there. That was probably worth a couple of points, was it?
I don't know, Del. You were 8 up at one stage, and it was kind of mad looking at the game. I just watched the highlights back this morning. Definitely looked like you were in a serious position to kick on and win by 5 or 6 at least. And Cork got a couple of goals, and the whole thing kind of turned. A great finish from Brian Hayes, a batted finish, and then Conor Lehan played a lovely, like, it was really cool. Was on the end line, could have maybe taken a real low percentage goal shot himself. Decided to spray it back across the goals, and Jack O'Connor finished it. It was a lovely, deft little right-handed hand pass from Patrick Horgan in the build-up for the goal as well. It was very, very nice. And Horgan was brilliant. He used all his nous for that first goal when he followed in on a rebound from, I think it was a Declan Dalton shot. But you'd have to ask some questions about how Tipperary lost this lead because they looked like they were coasting home.
Yeah. And Joe, Patrick Horgan playing 70 plus minutes, I think that's a big boost for him. Obviously, as we were talking with Joe there, he's on the road an awful long time at this stage. So the fact that he could play that 70 odd minutes, maybe it's number one, a vote of confidence from Pat Ryan, or maybe number two, Pat Ryan is just trying to see how would he go over 70 minutes, but he seemed to do well. Like Tipperary got a great goal with Sean Ryan. He won a ball, hand passed it into Conor Stakelum. Stakelum fed it back.
Shane, that was a lovely goal. That's such a modern hurling goal. And look how fat, like, that's what a hand pass was invented for. Create space for yourself, go back into space, and it was so quick. It was bang, bang, bang. It was a beautiful goal.
Good comment here from John Collins. Tipper back at square one. I like that.
I tweeted, Shane, retweeted your message about the show. Like, if Tip were back 2 weeks ago, does this mean Tip are gone now?
Yeah, look, it's not great to lose an 8-point lead. And just on the goals, I would have said that the first goal, who scored the first one again? Was it Horgan? So that ball that went in, and I suppose Brian Hayes was probably playing full forward. I just thought that, and maybe it's just getting used to full back again, that maybe Michael Breen came out to try and snap a ball that he just needed to spoil away to the side. Like, I'd be very much in favour of always catch a ball if you can catch it. But when it's contested against the big man and you're in such a dangerous area of the pitch, you have to try and get it out in front of you or break it off to the side. So then there was also late on when you were saying that Patrick Horgan was involved in setting up the goal chance, the assist for Jack O'Connor. Breen went to bury Horgan when he probably just should have looked to wrap him up. So look, it's easy to say it from the sideline, and he'll get used to full back and be very good there again, I've no doubt. But Tip did, like, they're starting to create goal chances game after game. Obviously, the goal that they scored was excellent, but there was other chances for Ford and Bow. And I think this Tipperary team that seems to be knitting the play together a little bit better rather than just taking shots from 100 yards time after time. That'd be the positive I'd see in it. But there's plenty of positives for Cork on a week that they lost Mark Keane. Very good to get this win from behind because, like, yourself, you're involved with a team, and sometimes you get a victory in a match where people, outside the camp will not look into it at all. But maybe Pat Ryan will be able to hang something off this and say to the lads, look, it just shows what you can do when you want to turn it on.
Does it show what they can do if they go a bit more direct at times as well, maybe? And I know they had a big man in the edge of the square at times. Like, I do think Declan Dalton is, and I thought it a couple of years ago, did he start against Dublin in, was it the COVID Championship in 2020? I think he started in a qualifier game and was effective. I don't think they can go direct unless they have a player like that in there, or a Brian Hayes potentially, who's big physical player with a bit of a hand on him as well. But they went pretty direct. Just see a comment up there from Hurling Man. Can't believe TJ is gone. There has been the odd little bit of a rumor going that maybe that he will bring down the curtain on his Kilkenny career now. It would be very strange if he did, because he obviously, before Derek Ling was even announced as manager, he announced that he was coming back for 2023. Unless, it's purely speculation now, unless it's in the wake of an injury or being a father or something like that. But I'd be very surprised if he does walk away. Very, very surprised.
So Liam B01 says Evan Shefflin wants to speak to you. Look, Evan, if you do, slip into my DMs there on Instagram and I'll send you the link.
Oh, put him on. I have to say about Evan as well. I thought Pat Hoban and the lads were really smart in the club final yesterday. At different stages, Dunloy wanted to leave Killian Corcoran free and wanted to leave Brian Butler free. And Brian Butler actually went out to wing back to mark Evan Shefflin's man on the puck out. And Evan Shefflin stood in cornerback and got a load of puck outs, and he got on a load of ball. Like some of it was, really good deliveries. Some of it was, maybe straight to the Dunloy sweeper. But I thought it was really smart way of getting around, because we flagged that up in the show the last day, Shane, about what Dunloy might do and who they might try and leave free. And Dunloy solved that riddle really, really well, and solved it in game and got the players they wanted on the ball.
A pleasure to read this comment out from Pádraig Grace. Tip should adopt Millwall's chant, no one likes us. Actually, Evan, if you do want to come on the show, send a private message on Twitter instead. That'd be an easier place to give the link. Gaelgore says, 2 Tip schools in the Harty final for the first time in 100 years, Cashel and Thurles. I'm sure you were delighted to see that.
I tell you what, Shane, I talked about the Fitzgibbon being the breeding ground of futures, but that is a great sign from your point of view. Is that Cashel's first Harty Cup final, or when was the last? Were they ever in a Harty Cup final before?
Yeah, I think that's the first one, yeah.
Dara Mason, who may be connected with, no, I don't think it's Dara that's involved in the Ballyhale panel. That's Dean's brother, says, what's your thoughts on TJ Reid's retirement from Intercounty? Well, it's the first I've heard of it.
There's a Dara. I think this could be just a big old wind-up from some of the Ballyhale lads that are watching the show, and they'll think that we'll fall for it.
With a pint of Bulmers or Guinness now, having a good laugh, I'm sure.
The 2 Egypts on our game now, they're going to fall for this one. James Daly said, I was in Tralee yesterday. This was for Limerick against Kerry when both teams were wearing green jerseys. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Stuff.
It was ridiculously one-sided, not good for Kerry hurling considering who we didn't have. I thought they would have been much better. I'd say Ballyhale are having you on regarding TJ. Yeah, we certainly are smelling a pup ourselves. What's this now? Hurling man Killian Corcoran has none to pick with you. Okay,
a bone to pick. A bone to pick, I'm sure. Listen, he wouldn't be the first, and he wouldn't be the last. Just quickly on the Cork game as well. So Tip led 116 to 1-8. What did they score? 3 points thereafter, and they conceded 2-6 to 3 points outscored in the closing period. Definitely disappointing from a Tip point of view. Looked like they ran out of gas a bit, and Cork were the team that were coming at the end. And listen, Tip play a very high octane style that's very energy demanding. Pitch was very, very heavy. It was heavy in Parky Rin even the week before. So Cork maybe looked like they had a bit more of a bounce at the end. Brian McGrath's performance, he was given man of the match from wing back. He got a score from distance at the start. That's obviously hugely encouraging. The display, I would say, Sean Ryan would be hugely encouraging as well. But I don't think anyone will be reading too much into it. One thing I did notice though in his interview after, he's a small man, but I didn't read. Sean O'Donoghue is jacked for a small man. The size of the arms on him. He was I don't know if he's actually flexing. Mine doesn't look too bad there, actually. They're about half the size of Sean O'Donoghue now.
The pythons.
Yeah, but he is he's a fairly all-action cornerback, and obviously he's Pat Ryan's captain going forward for the year ahead. I don't think either manager will read too much into it. Read too much into that, but Tip will be a bit disappointed having let a lead go when they looked like certain winners coming down the stretch.
Yeah, just in terms of this other Munster Hurling League game between Limerick and Kerry, 25 points to 9 it finished, and as we said, the jerseys were ridiculously similar. That shouldn't have happened, but I was just looking at some of the players that were popping points in that game. Fionn Mackesy, huge man, getting big scores. Colin Coughlin with 4 from play in the second half.
He only came on, Shane, as well. He hit 4 from play. The exact 4 replica points. They always say Billy Dooley got 3 replicas at the end of 94 in Ireland. Colin Coughlin's points were nearly all the exact same from the exact same position.
But who is it made me think, who's the biggest man in GAA now? Because Colin Coughlin is absolutely huge. Fionn Mackesy is massive. You've obviously mentioned Sean Donoghue being a bit of a tank there, but obviously he wouldn't be as big as these lads. Grode McInerney would be in the conversation as well.
It's funny you should say it.
Kyle Hayes, Grode Hegarty.
Yeah, but two of the biggest men in hurling were marking each other yesterday. Tommy Doyle was down to play 6 for Westmeath against Dublin, and he went into the edge of the square to pick up Big Hedgehow, and it was like there must be the guts of about 16 stone, the two of them. It was just like that. It's like two rugby players that run into each other. I'd say Tommy Doyle, in fairness, did get the better of the duel. They'd definitely be up there. I can't think of his first name. It's not Matthew. McLeanan, that played under 20 for Tyrone last year, is a man mountain. Remember, he did that handoff in the under 20 semi-final last year. If he fills out anymore, like Janie Mack, yeah, he's a force of nature.
Patrick Kenny says, what size Orga Retro jerseys do the lads wear? Mine is medium. I'd say yours is a small, is it?
Go ahead, will ya? Medium, fits like a glove. When you have the Sean O'Donoghue's on you, it fits well.
Have you been pumping the iron lately?
Not really, no. I just some days you look better than others, I often find. Dan Morrissey is mentioned there, and I've interviewed Dan in person a couple of times. Like, Dan is as lean as anything. Again, he's another fella that you think this lad could be in the Irish rugby squad. And saying that, funny enough, he probably looks small in the Irish rugby squad, such as the size in there now.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add from the Limerick Kerry game? Like Pat Ryan was back in action, for example. David Reedy scored 9. 2 of those from play. Mark Quinlan got 3 points.
A very funny one yesterday. Pat Ryan went to shoot at one stage and sold a dummy in over the defender's head. And I was just watching Buff back, and he's like, "Oh, Pat Ryan!" And then Pat Ryan went to pick it, and he's like, he made up bags of it. He missed the pickup or whatever. But he was back. Barry Murphy was playing again. I can't really take much from a Limerick point of view. I have to say, and I echo what James said there earlier. Like, it was very disappointing from a Kerry point of view. 7 points. 5, I think, was it 7 or 9?
9.
5 Shane Conway frees. 2 long-range points from Owen Ross, both in the first half, and 2 long-range points from Fiona Mackesy. Like that is a bit worrying. And it was the same last year when they beat Tipperary. I remember they beat Tipperary for the first time ever in competitive hurling last year, and they were very poor against Limerick the next day again, when Limerick were third string and Kerry were pretty much full strength. But listen, Kerry have bounced back. Kerry have been in the last 3 McDonagh finals and will be thereabouts again. It just is a bit disappointing that they could only put up a tally like that. They couldn't get traction up front at all in the second half.